Get ready with me while we discuss the latest book I've read, which is Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. This book is amazing, 5 stars. If you're planning on reading this and you don't want to hear spoilers, then make sure you keep on scrolling because we're going to be talking all things Fourth Wing during this Get Ready With Me. I'll try to make sure I'm also listing the products that I'm using down below as well, or in the video I'll figure it out just so you know what I'm using. And I do have some new products I'm going to be playing with in this as well. This is actually the One Size Secure the Sweat Primer. I've only ever used it once before, and I don't know how I feel about it, so we are using it again. All right, so diving right on into Fourth Wing. This book is super long. It's almost 400 pages, or is it almost 500 pages? Maybe it's only almost 500 pages. It is such a good book. Oh my god, like not one point during the book was I bored or not interested in what was going on. From the beginning I was hooked. And I'm not much of a fantasy kind of girl, like that's just not something that I've really dabbled in much. I love Harry Potter, so like I'm a big Harry Potter fan. That's as far as it has gone as far as fantasy goes. So I'm like a Game of Thrones and House of Dragon fan as well, and to me this book gives off those vibes, you know, because you've got dragons involved, but it's also mixed with actual human interaction and then also like magic and things like that. And while we're talking about the book, there are some names in there that are like made up names, and I may not pronounce them right, so I apologize in advance if I'm pronouncing them wrong. Just let it go. So the gist of Fourth Wing is there's this girl, main character, named Violet, and she is going off to college in Basgiath. And what this college is you're put into one of these 4 quadrants, a part of the college. There's the scribe college, or scribe quadrant, which is where they document and record all of the events that happen, so like record keepers type of thing, history, whatnot. Then there's the healers, self-explanatory. They are basically like, you know, like the doctors and the nurses. Then there's infantry. Infantry is infantry. And then there's the rider quadrant. This is where you become a rider on a dragon. So Violet, the main character, she wanted to be a scribe. That's what she has always learned growing up from her dad, who was a scribe, and she loved it. She does have 2 older siblings. One is a brother named Brennan, and the other one is Mira, or Myra, depending on how it's actually pronounced, but I pronounce it Mira. This is the first new product I'm jumping into. This is the Kylie Cosmetics Powder Blush Stick in the shade Hey Sugar. And this is what the shade looks like. She wanted to be a scribe like her dad, and that's what she was studying for. However, her dad has passed on, as well as her brother Brennan. Her mom is actually the General Sorrengail. I pronounce it Sorrengail. Sorry if that's wrong. I know there's plenty of TikToks probably out there that show how to say certain words, or Rebecca Yarros has put out there how you say certain things. I'm just bad at looking those things up. For concealer, I'm actually going to be playing around with these color correctors by Jeffree Star Cosmetics. We have Diet Peach and Candy Youth, which is a pink and a light peach corrector, and mixing it with my concealer. Anyway, so her mom wanted her to be a part of the rider quadrant. Didn't really give her an option, said this is what you're doing. Well, Violet is very small. She's described as being, you know, very petite, not the size of someone who should be a rider. Usually someone taller is able to get on a dragon's back and hold on, and she's just very small. Now keep in mind, going through this, there is a lot of death that takes place. I'm actually going to mix these two. I'm going to put, you know, a couple dots of each on in between my concealer. So the first challenge up is the parapet. I think that's how you pronounce it. And basically how I picture it is it's just like this long like bridge over a cliff, and you have to like withstand and keep your balance, and if you fall over you die. I hope that's the best way to describe it. But so that is the first challenge that happens. She actually ends up meeting her best friend Rhiannon at this event, and they tell you, you know, be careful about getting close to people because people die. She ends up becoming her friend. And of course, there's already some deaths right off the bat of people falling off. Well, she goes to get on, and she comes across this guy named Xaden, who hates Violet for the reason of his dad's death. I think it was her mom who killed her dad, or his dad, but his dad supposedly killed Brennan, which is Violet's brother. So he hates her. He wants to kill her. That's the other thing too. A lot of people kill each other in this too. And so he wanted to kill her. So she was afraid, kind of constantly looking over at him. Well, while she's on the parapet crossing over, there's this guy named Jack Barlow who starts crossing as well. I think he was not the right behind Violet, but one more behind. And he was like a savage, throwing people off. So like when he got to the person that was in front of him, he literally threw them off and killed them and was coming after Violet. So then Violet started speeding, you know, up to cross to avoid dealing with him, because she probably wouldn't have been able to survive dealing with him. But luckily for her, she kept like daggers on her. So as soon as she crossed and he went to come over, she held that dagger up right to his balls. Threatened his ass, and he did not do anything. Although it didn't stop him from doing other things later on, but he was just a real asshole. She gets through her challenge, thank goodness. So now she's in the college, and of course they have regular, not I don't say regular classes, but they have classes that they have to attend while they're there too. I'm gonna add a little bit more concealer just so it's not so pinky. And I'm not going to play a huge play-by-play on everything that happens, because there's just a lot. But just some of like the bigger things that like do happen is she ends up getting 2 dragons. So dragons pick the rider. Sometimes there are cases where you go your first year without getting picked by a dragon. So she ended up getting picked by 2 dragons, which is a crazy thing. It's never happened where 2 dragons picked her. One of them was actually like one of the biggest, baddest dragons that you could get, and his name is Terran. His name is a lot longer than, it's like Ternanok or something like that, but everyone calls him Terran. So he's this giant black dragon, huge, you know, and he's older, and so everyone's like, what the, you know, because she got that giant dragon. And then she also got Andarna, who is this golden baby dragon, which is really rare that a baby dragon went and chose a rider. But she ends up having the 2, and everyone was like mad. I was like, this can't happen. You have to choose. And dragons are like, no, we make our own rules. You don't tell us what to do. So she ended up having her 2 dragons, and has started to become one of the best riders. She does struggle a lot, obviously. She's much smaller, but she is intense, and she just fights her way through anything. She actually ends up killing Jack Barlow later on. Powder we're gonna play with, this is the One Size Ultra Peach Palette powder. I'm so excited about this. Going back to Violet and how strong she is, she actually ended up getting like one of the most powerful signets that you can get. Signet, what that is basically your power. Signet is basically she can control lightning. I know I'm bouncing around a lot, just trying to make sure I'm getting all of my thoughts out, because there are so many thoughts that I have. Terran, her dragon, he basically has a mate, another dragon mate, and that's Sigale. And Sigale's rider happens to be Xaden. Actually in his 3rd year already, so he is older than Violet. He's, yeah, in his 3rd year, about to graduate. But anyway, so when that happens, that the 2 dragons are bonded together, they kind of all get bonded together in a way. So Xaden and Violet can communicate with each other, and that's like, I call it telepathically, because you know you can talk to each other with your mind, and you can do that with your dragon too. So all 4 of them are connected now, and the dragons cannot be more than like 3 days to a week without each other. Like they have to be able to see each other at least every 3 days. So that means that Xaden and Violet are spending some time together, even though he hates her. By the way, the hate doesn't last very long. I thought there would be a lot more banter in the way of him hating her so much. It didn't last long at all, which I am not mad about. It made it a lot easier to get to where we were trying to go, which was them finally getting together. Loved it. Love Xaden. He is amazing. Give everything away because if you're going to read it, I want you to be able to experience that for yourself. Like, I have never laughed out loud like that to a book. Maybe I have before, but like not like that in a very long time. I will say, as I was reading through the book, and I know that I already knew off the bat everyone loved Xaden, everyone hated Dain. So of course, like, I already had that kind of mindset going in, and I'm reading a lot of it, and I'm like, is it because Dain is her best friend that she knew prior to going here. They grew up together as kids. He was in his second year in Fourth Wing, and he was right under Xaden in the same wing. And then also, backtracking a little bit, Violet also got put in their same wing as well. So she is with Dain and Xaden. And Dain's always had a thing for Violet. I think Violet kind of had a thing for him a little bit too. But that didn't last long. He kept trying to convince her to get out of the Writer's Quadrant and go to the Scribe Quadrant, and was like, I can get you over there. You know, this isn't too late. We can do this. And she's like, no, I can do this. Get out of my way. And obviously proved him wrong. But then when I got to the part where I realized this is why everyone hates Dain. Dain's signet is able to, I think, like, read memories when he touches somebody. So he tends to grab Violet's face a lot, like, you know, like grabbing her cheek and, you know, things like that. And so he was sneaky, and he grabbed her cheek and saw something he shouldn't have, and then ran off because he's a goody two-shoes, and told upper people, who then tried getting her and her friends killed. And the reason why she was trying to get her friends killed is because they were the children of a rebellion, and all of the adults from that rebellion were killed, and the children either, you know, had to choose to serve Navarre or be killed. And so they all chose that. They all have this tattoo called the Rebellion Relic. It kind of symbolizes that's who you are and where you're from. And I won't give away why they were sent to basically be killed and attacked. I'm going to keep some things a little bit of a mystery. Next product I'm going to go into is the Jeffree Star Skin Frost Highlighting Blush. This is in the shade Crying Candy Crime. I think this was a part of his mystery box, so I found it on Mercari because I didn't want to buy the whole mystery box. I have all of his stuff, so I'm like, I don't want to get something where I have a bunch of duplicates. But I really wanted this because this was one of those things that only comes in that box. This is what it looks like. It's giving Rare Beauty vibes. But in the midst of all the chaos of what is going down because of Dain going and running his mouth, it causes Violet to no longer trust Xaden, because she finds out also kind of what's being hidden from her, which, to be quite honest, kind of makes me mad that she's mad at him because he's just doing what he needs to do to protect the people he loves, which includes Violet. And she's just mad that he won't tell her everything, so she's, you know, mad at him pulling back, and you start that back and forth kind of thing, and I'm just like, girl, get over yourself. But anyway, during that battle, they did lose a couple people, and it was sad. There was one, and I won't tell you who or any details of that death, but there was one death that happened during that big fight, and that's towards the end of the book. I've never bawled my eyes out like that for a book ever before. I was hysterical. And it could also be because I had other things going on in my life that were a little bit emotional, and that could be possible too. But I mean, it was so sad. Like, I could not stop crying. The new product I'm gonna play with is the Benefit Fanning and Volumizing Mascara, the Fan Fest mascara. I don't think I've ever tried a mascara from Benefit, so we are going to play around with this one. So yeah, the gist of this book is this girl who shouldn't be a part of the Writer's Quadrant becomes part of the Writer's Quadrant, becomes one of the best in her year, and falls in love with the enemy, who's not really the enemy, is a wonderful, wonderful person that everyone loves. It's in Tragedy, ends on a cliffhanger, and I'm already on Iron Flame, and I'm loving it. This is one of those books that, like, I get the hype, and I'm sure anyone that picks up this book gets the hype. It is that good. I know that they're turning it into a TV show, as far as from what I've heard, and they better have it on point. For lips, I'm going to play with this new lip stain from CoverGirl. It's the Outlast lip stain. I do have another Ulta package coming in, but it just hasn't gotten here yet. And this one is in the shade Sugi Girl. And this is what it looks like. I'm sorry if I'm not the greatest at doing these like reviews on these books and I'm not giving much information. It's like I have all the thoughts in my head and then they just disappear. But what I can leave you with is I have a reading journal. I love this thing. It helps me keep like all the notes and thoughts that I have after reading each book. Now this is actually the first book that I've read where I've actually filled up beyond the space for your thoughts. So I will read you my thoughts real quick just so I can kind of have this all together. I wrote, "This book is amazing. I was never bored and felt like the story flowed very well. I love how powerful Violet is and became, especially after all of the doubt she faced. I expected to see more hate from Xaden towards Violet, but glad I didn't, and I love them together. I didn't understand why there was so much hate towards Dane, but towards the end I understand now. I laughed and I cried a lot, and the end shocked me." The end very much did shock me. And I won't tell you the ending because I know I said I'm going to give out spoilers, but I don't want to give out too many spoilers. You have to read it. So hopefully that gave you enough insight. If you haven't read it before, hopefully that encouraged you to read it. If you had read it before, hopefully that did the book justice and gave a good review on it, hopefully. But I'm obsessed. I'm in the middle of reading Iron Flame and I'm loving it so far. And I'm just sad that I'll have to wait until January for the third book.